But back to my point, Nurse Nisi came in. She acknowledged her. She acknowledged that. She took care of both of us to make sure that we were taken care of. And we were told before we even got to the hospital, Northside Hospital is the premier maternity hospital in the nation. So dear,
Yes, honey.
what's on the agenda for today? So we already like, man, we getting the best of the best when we go here. So we came in. Nurse Nisi looks at everything. You know, we got the anesthesiologist comes in. I don't know if you want to go into the anesthesiologist or not. Okay, all right. So anyway, Janicia said something, and the anesthesiologist, she was already kind of ticked, and Nurse Nisi said, "Hey," because it took her forever to get to the room. And so there were a lot of rooms she was going into. She was the only person on staff, and Nurse Nisi said, "Hey, I have a black woman in this room that needs an anesthesiologist stat." And the lady didn't come in time even for Nurse Nisi, so Nurse Nisi went and reported it to her supervisor. And she says, "Hey, if she seems upset or angry, she's probably upset with me because I told her supervisor she needed to get in here." So the nurse was nice. The anesthesiologist was nice, but you could tell she was kind of just like, whatever. You know, I got to do it because it's my job, but I'm not really enthused about it. So it was like they just treated my wife like whatever. So Nurse Nisi, you know, what I couldn't do, Nurse Nisi was, you know, an advocate for her patient. And for that, I'm grateful. I know Janice is grateful. If this ever makes its way to Nurse Nisi and she sees this from the Perrys, thank you so very, very much. We didn't know what we had until you clocked out for your shift and the real shift started. And so anyway, she came in. They gave her the anesthesia, the what do you call it? The epidural. Gave her the epidural, and I guess there's something about gravity working with the epidural, so you got to make sure it shifts from side to side. So they were coming in, checking her. They flipping her over on one side. They flip her over to another side, and as Nisi says, "Hey, at the rate you're going, I predict the baby will be here before 7 o'clock, and my shift ends at 5. But you know what? If I have to stay over for you guys, I don't mind because you guys are just that great." So we are thinking 7 o'clock. We gonna have the Easter baby. Daddy get to preach the Easter sermon about on the day my Lord was crucified and gave us new life. He gave me this life. I mean, I had it ready. I had my hoop triggers ready. I was ready to go. Janicia was ready to get her project eviction completed and checked off on her checklist. And our family is in Facebook Messenger dying to see this baby. First of all, before they even got to see the baby, I had already told them if the baby is ugly, you will not get a picture of this child until his graduation, high school graduation. And so we had already laid out the plans. The family was ready. They checking in every hour. Hey, where are we? We all are excited, and the contractions are going all over the place. And they coming in and they checking the. Oh, you getting close? Oh, you 3, oh 4, oh 5, oh 6. I mean, we just going off the charts in here. I mean, my wife is killing. She got her breathing right now. She. And the contractions are just charting over there, and her cootie cat just expounding, and the doctors coming in and they checking and they feeling all in there, and I'm sitting on the corner just excited, and I got hungry, so I had to take a lunch break. So Nurse Nisi came in and she walked me to the cafeteria, and I ate something, and I came back, and her mom was checking on it, and she on the phone talking, and oh man, the anticipation is building. And then 5 o'clock came. and Nurse Niecy's relief came. And they came in the door, and it was like you could feel the shift. They were still nice, still pleasant, but there was like a shift. And you slowly started to notice that the amount of care Janice was getting started to slow down and decline. And also, what correlated with that was the contractions. So as the care slowed down and decreased, here come the contractions. They get further and further apart, they're not as much. And then with the contractions slowing down, guess what else comes in and correlates? Here comes the dilating. The dilating has now ceased. And we at the magic number of, I think it stopped at 6.5. Yeah, 6.5.
When Nurse Niecy checked me before she left, I was 6.5 centimeters dilated. I was still having contractions every 2 minutes. They were still off of the charts on the monitors. So she came and she checked me around 4:30. And then at 5, she came to, introduce the new nurses that would be taking over. Mind you, Nurse Niecy's shift was short staffed, so she was by herself, and she was still coming in to check on me like every 30-40 minutes to come turn me or check on baby, bring me ice chips, things like that. She was coming in once or twice an hour minimally to check on me, make sure I'm doing good. When her relief came, now there were 2 of them, so you would think that I would get more care, but Nurse Niecy left at 5. Nurse Niecy, before she left, said that she was expecting me to, deliver around 7. I didn't see those nurses again until like 8:30.
Now, one of the nurses was training. I know that for a fact. She came in and she was kind of like learning the ropes. So the nurse that she was training under was, really the one calling the shots. So even though it was 2, he really only had like 1.5 that actually knew, what was happening. And I noticed when they came in, because for the women, you guys who've had children, they go in there. They go in there. And so the nurse who was training, she was the one who went in and she checked. And she was like, well, how's the dilation going? And how's this going? How's that going? And the other nurse was like, well, let me check. So I'm like, it's taking two of y'all to go in there and check.
This is what happened. The first nurse checked me, but she didn't say anything. Oh, look, y'all can see him now. She went in to check me, but she didn't say anything. She just stared at the other nurse. Like, she was just like. So the other nurse was like, what's wrong? And she was like, I don't know. I think we should have a doctor come check. And so the other nurse was like, well, do you mind if I check? And I'm like, yeah. I mean, I don't know what's going on. I just see their faces. And now I'm starting to get scared because when people start getting quiet, something's wrong. So the other nurse checked and she was like, well, it feels like the front of your cervix is a little bit swollen.
Passy break.
Okay. So it feels like the front of your cervix is a little bit swollen. So we're going to have the doctor come in. Mind you, this is about 8:30 p.m. And she said that I was 6 centimeters dilated. Nurse Niecy, before she left, said that I was 6.5. And that was about 3 or 4 hours ago. Okay. So now I'm 6 centimeters. The doctor finally comes in. Oh, no. Before that, I noticed that my contractions, I had told y'all, my peaks were off of the monitor. And now I'm noticing that my contractions, they're still 2 or 3 minutes apart, but the peaks are like at 10, 20. So I'm like, I asked, like, is that normal? And they was like, yeah, well, that happens with the epidural. But I've had the epidural for hours now, and it's just now happening. So, I would think that if it was because of the epidural, it would have happened by now. But they told me it was normal. So, okay, whatever. The doctor finally comes in.
No. The doctor doesn't come in. They check it. They said, hey, we'll be back. We're going to see what's happening. So we went down to 6. They left. Mm-hmm. We waited for about another hour or 2.
We waited for it. The doctor didn't get there till 11:30.
That's what I'm saying. The nurses left.
Yeah.
And then they came back and they checked again. And this time when they come and check now, as a man, hey, I'm already a little territorial. You all up in there now, and I can't go in there right now. But the nurse comes back and she checks again. And my wife, of 5 years, been together for 10 years, says, "Oh, that actually feels nice." And I'm sitting in my chair like, what are you saying right now?
In hindsight, I realized that, well, let's finish the story and I'll come back to why.
So the nurse says, "Well, that's strange, but just want to let you know, you're no longer at 6. Now I think you're in like 5 or something. It feels like your cervix is swollen." So she says, that's when she announced, "I think we got to have the doctor look at you." And so, I can see now, just from hearing that the doctor needs to look at you, Janicia her demeanor has shifted, and she's starting to worry, which is a trait that she has in her family where they just come from a family of worries. Whereas me, if Mother Dearest, she already, "Oh, that's all right. Jesus gonna open up the door." And I got faith. My mama was praying, and she a prayer warrior. And so just by nature, I was like, well, I'm not worrying. Everything is gonna work out, right?
And then not only that, the doctor that I've been seeing for the past 10 months, of course, has a family emergency.
Right, and one of your requests was to have an all-female staff. You didn't want any males at all to do anything with you.
But the only doctor on call, of course, is a guy.
But it's okay. It worked out. He was gay, so it was like having all females there. I don't know if I can say that and not be canceled. But he was a gay man, and hey, we all right with that. So the nurses leave. They come back and. I think you started getting a little emotional, and we were like, no, we're going to stay positive. And you requested to hear, you're a little dopey. You were on some dope. I don't know what, you kind of out of it. But you said, and I don't know if you can remember this, you said, "I want to hear that song by E. Dewey Smith, I Can Do All Things." And I was like, E. Dewey Smith, I Can Do All Things. So it's a song by Ernest Pugh. "I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me." Got Rance Allen on it. So I played that, put it on repeat, and you started to pick up again. Like you were getting positive and upbeat again. Like, this baby is coming. We're going to be on track, because the goal was to have this baby on Easter Sunday. We wanted him to come on April 17th by any means necessary. We only had like 3 hours left. So nurses kept coming in. "Hey, has the doctor seen you yet?" "No, he hadn't been in." This is the 3rd hour. 2nd hour. "Hey, has the doctor seen you yet?" "No, the doctor hadn't come in yet." So finally, in the last hour, you want me to take him?
He's a big one.
The last hour creeps in. And in walks Miss Thing.
Miss Thing.
Miss Thing came in and she says, "Okay, so I've checked the records. I've seen everything that's going on. Here's what's going on. Your cervix is swollen. I could give you some more Pitocin, but guess what? On the track that you're on, it's not going to work. That's not going to be possible because it could be deadly. You're doing good with your contractions. Everything is fine. I'm going to recommend that we have a C-section. Don't worry. You're going to be okay. You can do this. Do you have any questions?" So Janice said, No questions. I'm going to be fine. I can do. "Yes, you can do this. Dad, any questions?" So I'm like, what the hell is happening right now? He was like, "So guess what? I'm going to schedule the C-section. I'll be back in 5 to get you. We're going to move. You're going to do this. Dad, they're going to bring you some supplies. You're going to get dressed. We're going to meet you over on that side. You can do this." And he just twisted right on out the door. And we sitting in the room like, what the heck just happened in this place? And sure enough, anesthesiologist came back in.
Because my epidural was starting to wear off because they weren't turning me.
Well, yeah, did we go into the whole turning thing? Well, yeah, we did. We did. We don't want to push it too long. So, they came in, gave her the anesthesia.
Epidural.
They gave you the epidural, and they also gave you the anesthesia to kind of get you drowsy. So they came in, they did that. The nurses came in and prepped Janice. They came in and prepped me. They said we're gonna go over to the operating room.
Before they confirmed that we were doing a C-section, he said, Mr. Miss Thang, as you called him, he said, I'm gonna give y'all a minute to talk. And
that was the 5 minutes.
Yeah. So me and Ed talked about it. Ed was like, well, you know, pretty much this is the same thing that happened when Ed was born. I was progressing fine, and at this point I feel a little bit defeated because, you know, it's like all the plans that I had went out the window. So it's like I couldn't stop and get nothing to eat. The contractions were through the roof. It took forever to get my epidural, and then it's like, you're on track and you're gonna have this baby in this many hours. And then after Nurse Nisi left, it just felt like everything just went to hell. So that's when we called all three of our moms, and let them know what was going on. And then when they came back, I wanted confirmation. So I asked, because they told me the way that he came down the birth canal, he came down wrong. So that's why my cervix was, instead of dilating, it was swelling shut. But I don't know. I just wanted some kind of confirmation. Like, can we do an ultrasound? Is there any way that y'all, because sometimes they can move him from outside. So I started.
Miss Thang was like, no, we got to have a C-section now, girlfriend. There's no other option.
Yeah. So,
and now I didn't know that. This is my first time learning. I thought that you were upset because you were determined to have this baby vaginally, the traditional way. I thought that's why you were upset.
Yes.
That is why you were upset. Okay. So,
and then as a, I don't know, I felt defeated. Like, as a woman, it's like, this is the one thing that my body was made to do, and I felt like I was failing. I didn't know if it was because I got an epidural, like, did I get it too soon? Did I not walk enough? Is it my fault? Is it the nurse's fault? Because they really forgot about me. Like, in the hours that they were there for their shift, I only saw them like twice. So I don't know, I was on like a little bit of a guilt trip. Like,
and in that moment, it was important for me to reassure her that whether it was C-section, whether it was vaginal, it didn't make you any less of a woman or any less of a mother on how he got here. The baby came in safe. Well, no, he also had meconium.
Oh.
So I think that played another part in that.
So when my water broke, apparently,
what are you talking about?
It was full of meconium, which, if you don't know, it is baby poop.
Which was a prediction of things to come, because this boy, he can just we're going to have to bleep that part out. But I mean, this boy here, it ain't poop. It ain't, little dookie doo and all that cute stuff. This boy straight up. Anyway, go ahead. But that was a sign.
That was another thing. That was another reason why they wanted the C-section, because there was so much meconium in my water. And then, like, when your water breaks, it's not like it just breaks and then that's it. There's like continual gushes of fluid, and so as I'm still leaking, there's more and more meconium. So that was another concern of why I had to get a C-section. So I came to grips with the fact that I had to get a C-section.
You didn't have much time.
Yeah.
And the icing on the cake was that the doctor didn't come in until like 11:30 to tell us that you got to have a C-section. So we missed the Easter Sunday. I can't preach my sermon.
I'm going to be honest. I didn't care nothing about having him on Easter. I really could care less.
I'm still going to preach it, though. I don't care which day. It was Easter Monday. So, anyway, they move us over to the operating room. They have me sit outside, and they moved her
I think we have footage
inside.
of you getting dressed for the operating room.
Okay. Well, we'll see. If we do, Here it is. I gotta be quick, y'all. But he's about to come, so he's here. He's on his way, so I mean, I don't know what else to say. I'm trying to find the words, but just don't know what to say, so gotta go. Okay, so they have me sitting outside the operating room while she's on the inside, and I'm terrified because they don't tell you anything. They just push her in the room. They keep you locked out like they had in some top secret event. And I see all of these teams of doctors and anesthesiologists and assistants, and I think I even saw 2 janitors walk in. Everybody just going in. And finally somebody came out and they said, "Are you Dad?" I said, "I'm the one, I'm the guy." And they said, "Well, come in. Don't touch anything blue. Stay out of sight. Don't touch anything. Don't ask anything. We're going to show you exactly where to go. You're going to walk in there. You can have your phone out, but you cannot take any video footage. You can only take pictures. We're going to show you the area where you can take pictures." I mean, they give me all the rundown. And they say, "Are you ready? Do you have it?" I say, "I got it." And they walk me in. I mean, I felt like a celebrity for that little 20 seconds. I walked in. If you ever been to our church with Bishop Paul Morton, I mean, I felt like Paul, like they cleared the runway like I was going to preach on a preaching engagement, and everybody had to step aside, and they cleared the path for me to go in and sit my behind down. I did just that. I walked in, sat down. Janicia, all that they had showing was kind of like this, the top of her head, and that was it. And she was hollering about her head was hurting, and
yeah, from my point of view, they wheeled me in the room, and the lights were so freaking bright. It instantly made my head just like pound. And so I was talking to the anesthesiologist. I was like, "My head is hurting." So he gave me some Tylenol through the IV. All of this is while they're, washing up my belly, getting ready to do the C-section. Behind the curtain, setting up the curtain and all of that stuff. So he gave me some Tylenol, but then my blood pressure started to drop, so he had to stop the Tylenol. So I'm sitting there. He gave me like a cover or blanket to cover my eyes because I knew it was a light. Like once I was able to cover my eyes a little bit, my headache started to go away. And then he was like, "All right, I need to test your anesthesia." So he pinched me like up here, just really, really light pinch. And he was like, "Can you feel that?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "All right, I'm going to pinch you, a little lower." He was like, "I'm going to pinch you a little bit lower. And then just let me know if you can feel it." I didn't feel anything. I was like, are you pinching me? He was like, "Perfect." So then after that, he covered my eyes back up. Ed finally came in, and he was like, "What's wrong?" I was telling him about my headache and stuff. And then we're sitting there talking about the headache. He was like, "Well, they did give you pain medicine?" I was like, "They tried," but just giving him the rundown. And then all of a sudden,
yeah.
We didn't even know they had like started cutting. It reminded me of the first time, our first flight, like the first time we flew together. I thought that they were going to announce like, "Hey, we're about to take off," and then we would go up. But they was like, secure the doors, ready for takeoff. And then we drove, making all these turns. And then all of a sudden we started going super fast and we took off. Like there was no warning. And that's how I felt in that moment. Like they didn't say like, "All right, we're about to begin," or nothing. We just sitting there talking, and all of a sudden, it's exactly what you heard.
And this is what you see. They just go, split, bam, and they did it like that, and then they just took him back down.
They immediately took him to the side because of the meconium. They wanted to make sure that can be very deadly if he actually ingested it or breathed it in. So they immediately took him to the side to make sure he didn't get any in his lungs or make sure he didn't eat any. And then they was like, "Dad, come see the baby." And Ed was like, "I can't leave my wife."
Well, first of all, I said that because when they brought this little fella out, I know who did it, cause he know I'm about to talk about him, so he don't like that. But anyway, when they took him out, his head did not look like this. First of all, his head looked like
He had a cone head.
the top of a treble clef. I mean, his head looked like cone head. His head, I mean, he looked like
Because he was stuck in the birth canal. And you know, babies, they don't really have bones so that they can get through the birth canal. But he was stuck there so long that his head took the little cone shape.
And he was white. He was absolutely white. He's still light bright, but this baby came out white. And his head was a cone shape. So I was like, first of all, that must be either the wrong baby, because that baby ain't black enough. Don't pull your hair, son. And he was screaming, and he just, "Iya! Iya! Iya!" That was his cry the whole time. So they said, well, come over and look at him, Dad. They said he's beautiful. And I was like, they lying to me. And nobody will see a picture of this baby. I had already determined pictures were off limits. So they're like, you want to take pictures? And I was like, no, not really. But I know his mom wanted pictures. So we were like, okay, I'll take the pictures, but we not sharing them. So we took the pictures. We got the pictures up for you guys to see. And they go, okay, Dad, that's it. You and baby are going to go over to the recovery room. Mom will be over in about 10 to 15 minutes.
And mind you, this was in my birth plan. Just in case of a C-section, I wanted Ed to immediately go with the baby to the recovery and do skin to skin. 'Cause you know that golden hour. If I can't do it, I wanted him to do it.
I did no such thing. There was no skin to skin. They took us to the recovery room. The other team of nurses was standing there. They took him out and they dunked him in the water and they flipped him around and they washed him off and they washed his hair. And they did all of his vitals and they checked him here and they changed his diaper and they were talking, how's everything going? And Mama be over in 5 and Mama be over in 3 minutes and Mama be this. And they were like, went on about 20 minutes, 30 minutes where they with me and baby doing the check on everything. Baby looks great. They smack him on the behind. Baby feels great. Baby's doing this great. Oh man, that baby is just off the chart. Baby's doing great. Baby. And finally they just left. It was like, show's over, let's go. And they packed up and they went. And I was just sitting there behind the curtain with this baby that, first of all, I don't even know how to change a diaper. And the baby's just looking up at me, and I'm looking at the baby like, well, what we gonna do? And the grandmas are calling like, okay, how's it going? Where's baby? And I think it was your mom. Your mom said, well, Ed, how's it going? I said, baby is here. I say, I have my baby. Is he hungry? We may have to split this episode. And so I say, I have my baby, but I don't have my wife. And I think on that note, we got to split. So we'll catch you guys on the second half of this video.
Where's his wife?
Bum, bum, bum. Does she make it out alive? Does he have a good life insurance policy? How are Ed and the baby now? How is Ed and the new wife? I mean, I tell you, is she a fox? Is she? Well, we'll go into details on the new wife later. But anyway, we'll catch you on part 2 of the
labor and delivery vlog.
A labor and delivery vlog. All right, so
tune in next week.
Yeah, gotta pause the show thanks to Mr.
Yeah.
You know, that's gonna be the new tagline now for the Dear Honey podcast. I've been wanting like a slogan. Now it's just yeah, and it's just, I wish y'all could hear. He's gonna do it. Trust me, you'll hear it one of these days. But that's it. Catch you next week or in part 2 whenever we air this.